What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Balian, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today I'm going to be talking about the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. I don't know who saw that coming. I'll get into the Lakers side of things, I'll get into the Mavs side of things, and I'll get into Luka Doncic and his outlook on the rest of his career. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! At the wall, he jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode, and I'm just going to start with giving a rundown of who got traded where, because there was a lot of shakeup in this trade. So the Mavs get AD, they get Max Christie in a 2029 first-round pick, courtesy of the LA Lakers. The Lakers get Luka Doncic, Markieff Morris, and Maxi Kleber, and the Jazz are the third team involved. They get Jalen Hood and Schniffo, and 2 second-round picks. They don't really matter. They were just there to make the money work and things of that esque. But for the Lakers, I'll start with that aspect of the trade. They just add another generational talent to the long line of greats that they have. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry West, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. The list goes on and on and on. That's why they have about 25 numbers retired. But that's besides the point. They're the Yankees of the NBA. They really extended their championship window with this LeBron core. With LeBron being on the Lakers, I don't think they were going to win another one with AD. I think they got lucky to win it with LeBron in the bubble. Like, if that wasn't a bubble season, I don't think the Lakers would have won the finals. That might just be my opinion, but I don't think that they would have. But now, with Luka Doncic and LeBron James, one of the best point guards in the league and one of the still better top 15, top 20 players in the league, the Lakers have a chance to win the finals. The Lakers are in the race now, where they're really contenders in a Western Conference that is loaded, yes, but they have a chance to do it. As it sits right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are the 5th seed in the West, 10 games back of first place, but only a game back of fourth place, and 3.5 games back of third place. And second place, really. Those two are tied. That's the Rockets and the Grizzlies right now. So the Lakers are right in the thick of things. They're right in the mix to win this finals. And they're right in a great spot moving forward. Because you have Luka Doncic, who's 25 years old. You only gave up one first-round pick in this trade, which is an absolute fleece of the Lakers, in my opinion. I'll get into the Mavs front office side of things in a little bit here, but I don't know what Nico Harrison, Mavs GM, was thinking. I really just don't have any idea. How are you going to give up Luka Doncic, your generational talent, your franchise cornerstone, for 31-year-old Anthony Davis and one first-round pick? I mean, if I'm Mark Cuban, that guy's got to be on the hot seat 10,000%. An absolute fleece for the Lakers. I don't think there's any way around it. I think they got great value for Luka Doncic. But the other part of it that nobody's talking about, Luka's a rental contract. I think Luka is up for a contract this summer. Luka Doncic has the potential to leave the Lakers after just one summer, after half a season. That's not true. He has another season after this one. So he has this year and next year, and then a player option the following year. But for what it's worth, the Lakers could have traded Anthony Davis, who's been with their franchise for 5 years at this point, for a player that could leave after a year and a half. After a year and a half, Luka Doncic could be playing elsewhere. And I have a top 5 list of teams that I think Luka Doncic could sign with in 2 summers, that I'll get into at the end of the episode. But for right now, The Lakers got to win it this year and next year. There's no other way around it. You're not going to trade Anthony Davis and then not win the finals. That's not how it's going to work. And if they don't win the finals, it's a failed trade. It really is. Because I get you could have Luka Doncic for the rest of his career. I get Luka Doncic he's 25 years old. You could sign him to a contract extension. But he also has the ability to walk. He has the ability to walk after the summer, after the 2026 season. Luka Doncic has the ability to be playing for any other team in the National Basketball Association in a couple seasons. That's the fact of that's the matter of facts. So for the Lakers, great trade, I think. I still think that for what they traded for, great value, and they did a great job. But Laker fans who are on your high horse, there is a way that you might not be that the Lakers don't get as much as they should out of this trade. But now let's get to the Mavs side of things. Let's get to what the Mavericks gave up for what they got back. What do they need to do to continue this contender status, to go back to the NBA Finals after they were there just last year? Should Nico Harrison have a job past the Thursday deadline? And I'm going to say this. The trade deadline has really snuck up on me. I thought it was in 2 weeks or so, and then this trade came out, and I took a look at it, and I realized it was this Thursday. I was not expecting that. But there's been, for the Mavericks and this Luka trade, there's been so many conflicting and contradicting stories about why the Mavs traded Luka. There's been stories that it's because he hasn't played defense, because he shows up to training camp a little bit overweight, a little bit chubby, because the other one I heard was that the Lakers asked the Mavs about Luka a couple weeks back, and the Mavs said, let me sit on it a little bit, and now they decide to pull the trigger on it. But if you're asking me, I think that Luka Doncic probably asked his way out of Dallas and asked to only be traded to the Lakers. I think that's my guess on how far it would go, on how it would be. Because I don't think Luka Doncic, or the Mavs rather, would just willingly trade Luka for one first-round pick and an aging Anthony Davis. Because that's essentially what they got back. I get Max Christie's an all-right player. He could play a little basketball. He put that on display against the Knicks just last night. Where thank God that trade happened. Took some of the took a lot of the spotlight off the Knicks after losing by 15, 16 points to the Lakers. We're not going to talk about that one because the Knicks have been hoping lately. Yeah, I'll get into an episode of that this week. A lot of football content coming up this week. I'm rested up for it. C-Mac episode was great, but we're ready to get back into it. Super Bowl on the way. But let's get back to this episode with what the Mavs gave up. They gave up so much for what they got back. And I get the combination of Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving can be really good. 6 years ago, they're not going to be able to do it right now. They're not good enough to lead teams on their own. At this point in each of their careers, they are good to be second options on a team. They're good to be second, third options on a competing NBA franchise. They're not good enough to each be the first option because I don't think there's going to be a clear-cut first option on this Mavericks team right now. But I do think that neither of them are really good. I don't think that either of them are good enough to lead the Mavericks back to the NBA Finals where they have championship aspirations. As it sits right now, the Mavs are the 9th seed, bottom of the play-in. Well, second to last team, the Kings are in the play-in as well. They're 26-24, 13.5 games back of first place in the West, but only 2.5 games behind a playoff spot. AD and Kyrie can do it. I'm definitely not questioning their ability to play basketball. I'm just saying at this point in their career, it's gonna be an uphill battle for Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving to be the top two guys on a competing NBA franchise. Let's look at some of the notable opponents that the Mavs are gonna have to play here coming up. They lost by like 40 today to the Cavs to start the post Luka Doncic era. So let's look at their schedule. All right, just coming up: Boston, Houston, Sacramento, Golden State. Golden State a little about 2 games later. Then to the Lakers. Luka's first game facing off against his team. That'll be at the Lakers arena though. Playing with LeBron, playing with this Laker team. That's in an interesting spot. I'll give them that. I think they have enough to do what it takes, and they have enough if they make another trade at the deadline. But as it stands right now, they're in a good spot. But after that, they play Charlotte. That should be an easy win. Then they play Milwaukee, Sacramento, Memphis, Phoenix, San Antonio, Houston, all back to back. That is a gauntlet right there. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. 6 out of 8 games rather are going to be really difficult in that stretch. And then it backs off a little bit with the Sixers and Indiana. Detroit's been good, but they play Brooklyn, then they play the Knicks, and they play Orlando and Chicago. But they have a soft schedule to finish out the year. April 9th, they play the Lakers. That'll be Luka's return to, they don't call it the United Airlines Center anymore, to Dallas, whatever it is. But yeah, man, I mean, I think I covered both sides, everything I wanted to get to. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to say. The Mavericks have had so many different cores over the past 7 years, and ever since Luka Doncic got drafted to Dallas. They've had Luka and Dirk Nowitzki. That was Luka's rookie year, so I give him a little bit of a pass on that one. They had the Luka, Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis core in 2022. They had the Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving core that's been for the past year extended. And now they're going to have Kyrie and Anthony Davis. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 cores over the last 7 years. That's not even 2 years for every core, which that's not good. That's not a way you're going to win a lot of basketball games. That's not a way you're going to be successful in this league. But it is what it is. I mean, you see with the Lakers, they don't have a lot of the same guys year in and year out there. They, I guess they have the same stars year in and year out, but they do change a lot of their roster, and I guess it's kind of worked for them. But whatever. I'm going to get to the Luka side of things right now. All right, so Luka Doncic loses out on close to $100 million by getting traded to the Lakers. And this is because he's not eligible for his Supermax anymore, and he can't sign as big of a contract. I think he would have been eligible for $345 million contract this summer. And Mark Cuban said it. He said it was going to be a tumultuous summer with Luka Doncic and negotiations. But that's a summer that you got to have. That's a summer that you have to sign that man. He's deserved it. He brought you to an NBA Finals. He's brought you to the Western Conference Finals as well, I believe. He's earned that contract where it's like, yeah, it's going to be a difficult negotiation process, but it's not like you're negotiating with a guy that doesn't deserve this contract. He's proved that he's one of the premier players in the NBA, and he deserves a huge contract. And I just don't understand how you move on from a guy like that for that little of a return. The return is what I'm just confused on. I heard this trade late last night. My reaction was, I said audibly, what? I was dumbfounded. It didn't compute in my brain because there was no reporting on it. And that's the other aspect where the Mavericks could have shopped Luka Doncic. They could have looked around. They could have publicly advertised for Luka that he was available, but they didn't do that. And I think if they did advertise and make him available, he would have, the Mavs, that is, would have gotten a higher value for him. The Mavs would have gotten a bigger return. And that's not good if you're the Mavericks, because you have to live knowing that Luka Doncic was the cornerstone of your franchise. He was the face of your franchise. And you gave him away for Anthony Davis at 31 years old, who struggles to stay healthy. I mean, he's injured right now. He's not going to make his Mavs debut for at least another week or two. Which like I said, I'm confused on why the Lakers would make this trade. But getting back to the Luka Doncic side of things and costing himself over $100 million by getting traded. And like I said, I do think this trade was orchestrated by Luka. I think he was the one who forced his way out of Dallas. But he could have had a bag. He could have gotten his bag this summer. And now he's not going to get as much. He's probably, like I said, he's losing out on close to $100 million. He could be at I don't know, that would be $245 million. We saw Jalen Brunson took a ton of money less than he was going to get in New York this summer. But we know Luka Doncic isn't doing that. Jalen Brunson took the less money so he could keep the team together. So he could keep his core together, his boys, his Nova boys together. And we saw how that worked out. They're already disconnected. Dante's in Minnesota now. He's hurt, unfortunately. But losing out on that much money for Luka makes me question, did he really force his way out of Dallas? Because if that's the case, why would he be voluntarily losing out on $100 million? I don't think that would happen. I don't think an NBA player would lose out on $100 million. It doesn't make sense to me. But the other thing for Luka, it opens up the possibility of him signing with another team. Just because he's not getting that Supermax contract, it opens up the possibility that he'll sign with another team. And now it's time to get to my top 5 teams that I think Luka Doncic could sign with in the coming off seasons. First, I'm going to start it with an honorable mention. The Golden State Warriors. If you think Curry will be on probably one of his last 2 or 3 seasons by the time Luka gets either declines his player option or becomes a free agent the summer after, he could give that Warriors core some extra life. Another year or two added on to the dynastic run that they've had over the past decade, really. I mean, we're in 2025. This dynasty started, 2014? 2015 was when they won. 2016 was when they went 73-9, but they won the finals in 2015. They could add another year to their dynasty with Luka Doncic. They might be able to add more and start a new dynasty with a core centered around Luka Doncic rather than Steph Curry. I think that's a possibility, and I think it's a good possibility for Luka and the Warriors. All right, now let's get to the teams I actually think he has a better chance of signing with.
Number 5.
The Oklahoma City Thunder. I think a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic's backcourt will be really interesting. The reason I have them at number 5, though, I don't know if OKC is going to have the money, A, and I don't know how Shai and Luka are going to mesh together. I think they would be all right, and I think the Thunder would win a lot of games, but there would be a big adjustment period where it's like they're 2 ball dominant guards. I consider Shai a guard. So they both play the point guard position, the guard position group. They both need to take a lot of shots. Luka doesn't play much defense. It kind of goes against the morals of Oklahoma City, where they have Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have a lot of guys that play defense. Isaiah Hartenstein. I just don't know how Luka's going to mesh with that core. So that's why I have him at 5. I think they could be higher if Luka expands his defensive game.
Number 4.
The Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, they moved on from Karl Anthony Towns. Their superstar, their bona fide scorer, their top guy who's been there for an extended period of time. I mean, he was drafted there back in the mid-2010s. I think 2015, if I had to guess, is when Cat got drafted to Minnesota. But he's not there anymore. They're struggling to score a little bit. I mean, Julius Randle hasn't been everything that the Timberwolves hoped he would have been. I think it opens a window where For an Ant and Luka backcourt, again though, once Luka becomes a free agent, they're going to have to pay Anthony Edwards. So are they going to have the money? That's the big question. And that's the only thing that I in my opinion, would go against Luka ending up in Minnesota. But other than that, I mean, if I don't know what Julius Randle, I doubt he signs with the Timberwolves. He re-signs with them when his contract's up either this summer or next summer. So that would open availability in that window for where they need another scorer to pair with Anthony Edwards. It would be Ant, it would be Luka, and it'd be Rudy Gobert. I don't have a problem with it. It'd just be, will the money align for both sides?
Number 3.
The Los Angeles Lakers, this is a case where he'd be re-signing. And before I jump the gun on this one, I want to see how they perform down the stretch of this year and all of next year. Because if they're not good enough, this team gets knocked off the list. But what I'm thinking right now is Luka Doncic, who's one of the smartest players in the NBA, one of the highest IQ players on the offensive side of the ball. Pair him with LeBron, who is one of the smartest players of all time. That seems like you have a pretty smart team right there. High IQ. JJ Redick's their head coach. He's an absolute guru, student of the game. He's played with Luka. He's played with LeBron. He would coach. He would fit well with both of them, and I think they would mesh together. I think they would. It depending on how many more years LeBron plays, that could be a very interesting core for the future. I think that would be more of a long-term deal. I think all these deals are going to be long-term, but that would be more. You have to see what happens these next 2 years where you have this trial period with Luka and LeBron playing together.
Number 2.
At number 2 is the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, they've stockpiled a ton of draft picks. Sean Marks has done a tremendous job since the Kyrie KD saga, where they tried to jump the gun on a rebuild, bring in 2 top-of-the-line free agents, where they're both generational talents. It didn't work. Their personalities didn't fit. They wanted to bring in Steve Nash as head coach. The Nets listened to them. It didn't work. And they both asked out a couple seasons after signing there. But now the Nets have a ton of draft picks. They don't have a singular big contract. There's an opportunity for them to sign Luka Doncic, bring in some other players with the cap space, and trade for other players with the draft picks that they have control of. Because that's what you have draft picks for. You have them to trade. You're not with the amount of draft picks that teams like the Nets have and teams like the Thunder have, they're not going to draft with all those players. Some of those picks are going to be used as trade value, as trade bait, as trade pieces, where the Nets have so many, the Thunder have so many, that trading for guys to make your location more desirable for a player like a Luka Doncic, it's a real thing. And the Nets have the chance to do that, and they have the chance to bring one of the better free agents of this generation. And at number 1.
Number 1.
The Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, if you pair Luka Doncic with Ja Morant, scary backcourt. If you put Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Luka Doncic in a pick-and-roll game, absolutely scary. That is petrifying to other teams. Luka Doncic is one of the best creators off the dribble this game has pretty much ever seen. I mean, he's put it on display in the playoffs. He's averaged 30 points pretty much in his playoff career. He's that good in the playoffs, and he can create that much when the pressure's on him, and he's forced to make big plays. Ja Morant has been in the league for 3-4 years at this point? Probably more, actually, because he came in with RJ in 2019. So this is his 5th, 6th season? I get he was hurt a lot of last year, and he didn't play a lot the year before. But since 2022, the guy has done nothing. There was so much promise coming out of that season, And he has just let everything go to the wayside. He had the issues with the firearms. He had the injury issues last year. And he hasn't been able to develop a three-pointer. That is the problem. That's an absolute problem. Holy heck. Live reaction as I'm recording this. The Kings are finalizing a trade to send De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs in a blockbuster trade that includes Zach LaVine. Are you serious? What? I do not know. Okay. This is going to be a full nother episode once I figure out who's involved and what the other assets are, but expect that episode tomorrow because that's ridiculous. That's a great way to end this episode. Like I said, Ja hasn't been able to develop a three-pointer. They need a player like a Luka Doncic. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben Balian. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like, following, subscribing, sharing with a friend. Make sure you leave me a voicemail at 848-305-8073. Make it your sports questions, your takes. Maybe it's about these crazy NBA trades that are going on. A great start to the NBA trade deadline. Make sure you check out all my socials linked in the description below. And most importantly, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.